Hard work isn't the secret to wealth, it's the trap. And the worst part? Deep down, you know something's wrong, even if you can't quite name it. Because in a world where controlling capital and narratives pays far more than grinding in silence, your loyalty is the most profitable asset for someone else. The system isn't broken, it's working exactly as intended. By the end of this video, you'll see everything differently, and it'll make you furious. But before you get angry, ask yourself, why does working harder always feel like running in circles? If you're ready to break out of the loop, hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next might just change everything. From the time you were a child, you've heard it over and over. Hard work is the answer. Teachers, parents, movies, and even the stories you tell yourself all repeat the same message. If you just push harder, if you just keep your head down and do what's asked, you'll be rewarded. The system promises that if you play by the rules, your effort will be recognized and your loyalty will pay off. But this isn't how it plays out for most people. Look at the construction worker breaking his back in the heat, building the world around us. Or the nurse who moves from crisis to crisis, holding lives together with her own exhaustion. These people keep society running, but their paychecks and their security don't reflect their importance. They're not living in comfort. Most are struggling to cover basic needs. If hard work really led to success, you'd expect these essential workers to be thriving. Instead, they're barely getting by. The disconnect is obvious. The most dedicated, indispensable people are often the most undervalued. Here's the truth you're not supposed to see. The system was never designed to reward you for working hard. That belief, the idea that sacrifice and suffering will eventually lead to wealth, isn't just a little misleading. It's a deliberate, calculated lie. Nietzsche called this celebration of sacrifice nothing more than moral labor, a psychological trap, not a path to power. It's the carrot dangled in front of you to keep you moving, not forward, but in circles. This lie exists to pacify you, to control you. Because the moment you stop believing it, the moment people like you see past it, the system collapses under its own weight. Think about how society frames hard work and sacrifice as proof of character. You're praised for grinding yourself down, for putting everyone else first, for being reliable no matter how much it costs you. You're told this makes you virtuous, worthy of respect, and eventually, reward. But the reward never comes, not in the way you expect. Instead, what you actually get is more work, more responsibility, and less recognition. The treadmill speeds up, but you never get off. While you're giving everything, someone else is steering the machine. Someone who doesn't care about the story of moral labor, who never intended to run. They profit from your effort, the buildings, the hospitals, the offices, while you get the scraps. You're doing the grinding, they're cashing the checks. For this system to keep functioning, it needs you to believe not just in hard work, but in the nobility of your suffering. It wants you to see your exhaustion as a mark of honor, not as a sign you're being exploited. You hear it all the time. Good things come to those who wait. But when has waiting ever built real wealth or put you in control? You're waiting because you've been conditioned to, because the system can't afford for you to think differently. You've heard the script: behave, do the right thing, keep your head down, work harder, and one day it'll pay off. That narrative isn't innocent. It's taught to you because it serves the powerful, not because it helps you. The more you buy into it, the more trapped you become. And if you ever get frustrated or angry, the system has a response ready: guilt. It tells you that wanting more is selfish, that questioning the rules makes you ungrateful. It convinces you to blame yourself, never the game you were forced to play. This structure isn't random. It's not the result of incompetence or oversight. It was built this way, and it survives on obedience. If every essential worker demanded the wealth their labor generates, if every nurse refused to work for crumbs, the system would break down. The people at the top can't have that, so they keep the lie alive. They need you to believe that success is just one more late night or early morning away. But the real reason hard work doesn't lead to wealth isn't that you're not trying hard enough. It's that the rules of success were designed to reward leverage, not labor. Control, not compliance. The ones who prosper are those who understand power, not those who blindly trust in the morality of grind culture. You're playing a game that was never meant for you to win. Ask yourself, why would those in control ever want you to win? Why would they reward endless effort when their power depends on keeping you running in place? This is the heart of the trap. Nietzsche saw it for what it was, a morality built to keep you small, obedient, and always doubting yourself. But why does this system make you feel guilty for wanting more? Why does questioning your place in it feel so wrong? That's what we need to confront next. There's a reason you feel that pang of guilt every time you imagine a life beyond constant struggle. That voice telling you to be grateful and stop wanting more didn't come from nowhere. It was taught to you, reinforced at every turn, and it's not an accident. Nietzsche calls this slave morality, a system forged by the powerless to pacify themselves and now weaponized against you. It's not about your benefit, it's about your obedience. Slave morality teaches you that your highest virtues are hard work, obedience, and self-sacrifice. It turns suffering into a badge of honor and humility into a sacred truth. You've been told that being selfless is good, that staying small and humble makes you worthy. But what has that really given you? The truth is, this morality was crafted as a survival tactic by those who had no power. Instead of admitting defeat, they rewrote the rules. Weakness became grace, poverty became purity, suffering became a sign of special moral worth. That story is still being told, and now it's used to keep you in line. The most dangerous part is how deeply you internalize it. Slave morality isn't just something society uses to control you. It's something you carry into every decision. You're the worker who stays late, follows every rule, and hopes that loyalty will be noticed. But when the rewards are handed out, they go to someone else, someone who isn't afraid to bend the rules or put themselves first. And what do? You blame yourself, thinking you just need to work harder next time. You've been conditioned to believe that effort equals worth, and that the system will eventually reward you for playing by its rules. But the reality is, the game was never set up for rule followers to win. Nietzsche saw through this. He wrote, in effect, "You are not rewarded for your morality, you are pacified by it." The system doesn't care about your sacrifice, it needs your compliance. It wants you to work, to obey, and to feel proud of your own exhaustion. That's how the structure holds. The more you believe that suffering is noble, the easier it is for those in power to keep you running in place. Now look at the other side, the people who succeed by a different logic. Nietzsche called this master morality. These are the people who don't see submission or suffering as virtues. They value strength, ambition, and the courage to shape their world. They don't ask for permission or wait for validation. They decide their own worth and act on it. For them, power is a tool, not a dirty word. They aren't weighed down by guilt when they pursue what they want. They understand the system and know when to play by the rules and when to change them. You see these people in every workplace and every industry. They're the ones who speak up, push back, and refuse to accept less than they deserve. They don't internalize the guilt that keeps others in line. Instead, they use strategy, confidence, and leverage to get results. This isn't about being immoral or ruthless. It's about refusing to let obedience define your life. They know that the world doesn't reward those who simply endure. It rewards those who know how to move the pieces on the board. Meanwhile, you've been taught to stay in your lane, to play fair, to keep your head down even when the game is rigged. Every time you question the system or ask for more, that old guilt flares up. Don't rock the boat. Don't be difficult. That's slave morality at work, convincing you that wanting more makes you the problem. All the while, those who ignore those rules are the ones who end up ahead. Ask yourself, Why does society praise struggle and exhaustion as signs of virtue? Why is the person working 3 jobs seen as noble, while the person who finds a smarter way is called selfish or lucky? It's not an accident. The system depends on your obedience and your willingness to accept less. Your loyalty keeps it running, but it doesn't get you ahead. Here's the question that slave morality doesn't want you to ask. What if the things you've been taught to value are the very things that keep you stuck? What if your pride in enduring hardship, your loyalty to the grind, and your fear of stepping out of line are chains disguised as virtues? And what if the system is designed to punish you the moment you try to break free? This isn't about fairness or justice. Slave morality exists to keep you manageable, predictable, and obedient. It convinces you to pour your energy into a system that rewards power, not sacrifice. The moment you start to see through it, the whole structure begins to crack. That's why you've been trained to feel guilty for even questioning your role. But what happens when this morality doesn't just live in you, but shapes the entire world around you? When a nurse is told that compassion is payment enough, or a worker is reminded to feel lucky just to have a job, the deeper purpose of slave morality is exposed. The system benefits from your obedience, convincing you that staying quiet and noble is your only option. But it isn't. The real question is, who actually gets rewarded and why? People who play by the rules and give everything they have often find themselves left behind. The hardest workers aren't the ones who end up with the biggest rewards. Instead, you see others, sometimes with less effort, sometimes breaking the rules entirely, leapfrogging to success. This isn't a matter of luck or timing. It's the way the system is built. The world doesn't reward morality, compliance, or sheer hard work. It rewards those who can scale their impact, those who have leverage, not just effort. Think about the nurse who pours her life into caring for others. She works double shifts, handles emergencies, and sacrifices her own well-being for her patients. Her paycheck, though, doesn't come close to reflecting the value of her labor. Now compare that to a social media influencer. With a piece of viral content, a TikToker can out-earn a nurse's monthly salary in a single day. That gap isn't just about popularity, it's about scalability. The influencer's reach multiplies with every share, every like, every algorithmic boost. The nurse, no matter how skilled or committed, can only treat one patient at a time. Then there's the hedge fund manager. They don't build, heal, or deliver anything tangible. But with a single decision, they can move billions of dollars in pocket profits that would take a nurse or a delivery driver a lifetime to earn. Their work isn't physically demanding, but it's leveraged, amplified by systems, capital, and networks. The delivery driver, in contrast, is bound by the hours in a day and the limits of their own body. No matter how hard they push, their output can't multiply the way capital or digital influence can. This is the real mechanism behind who gets ahead. The system rewards leverage, the ability to scale results without scaling effort. Leverage means using resources, networks, or technology to amplify your impact. When a hedge fund manager presses a button, billions move. When a delivery driver finishes a shift, the impact ends with them. The influencer's video travels the world while they sleep. The nurse's care stops at the hospital door. Honest labor is necessary, but it's limited and easily replaced or automated. That's why it's undervalued. Companies understand this better than anyone. Take the delivery service giant. The drivers work long hours to keep the system running, but it's the corporation that profits from every delivery. The company doesn't rely on individual effort. It relies on a structure that can multiply the results of thousands of workers. The drivers are paid by the hour, but the company's earnings scale with every new market, every efficiency, every algorithm tweak. The system channels rewards upward, away from those who do the work and toward those who control the process. You've been conditioned to believe that hard work and moral effort will eventually pay off, that suffering is noble and that patience will be rewarded. But the system isn't designed to recognize effort for its own sake. It's designed to reward those who can control, scale, and leverage. The myth of moral labor keeps you focused on sacrifice and obedience, not on strategy or power. It keeps you manageable, predictable, and waiting for recognition that never comes. The people who rise are the ones who see through this. They stop waiting for their turn and start looking for ways to multiply their impact. They use networks, technology, and ownership to move beyond the limits of individual labor. They don't let guilt or the old story of virtue hold them back. They know the system doesn't reward the most deserving. It rewards those who can make their results exponential. But that doesn't mean you have to throw away your values or become someone you're not. The point isn't to abandon morality or become ruthless. It's to stop pretending that the rules of hard work and obedience were ever about your benefit. You can redefine what strength and success mean for you. You can learn to combine your principles with strategy, to use both morality and power with intention. It's normal to feel uneasy when you question the story you've always been told. Maybe you're worried that if you stop playing by the old rules, you'll lose yourself. But that discomfort is just a sign of how tightly the system's narrative has been woven into your life. The real challenge is to find a way forward that doesn't ask you to sacrifice your integrity, only your illusions. Strength isn't about how much you can endure or how quietly you can suffer. It's about combining what matters to you with the ability to shape your own path. This is where Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch comes in. A person who doesn't just accept the values handed down by the system, but takes the risk of creating their own. The Übermensch isn't a tyrant or a ruthless opportunist. They're someone who understands that morality and power aren't enemies. They're tools, and the real challenge is learning how to use both with intention.